They're all connected at some level, but just to kind of drill down on the. By the way, I just returned recently from the Middle East. I was out in Dubai. I was in a 1,000-foot building. I was kind of looking for the Dwight Eisenhower. That carrier battle group is out there. I didn't see it, but it was not far away. But yeah, we've got aircraft carrier battle group, and the aircraft carriers don't travel alone. They go with destroyers and cruisers and submarines and a lot else. And of course, they are armed with nuclear missiles. We have a nuclear missile submarine in the area. And now the war's escalating. Okay, you start with Israel, Hamas, Gaza. We see that, but that has now spread to Yemen, the Houthis, and who are backed by Iran. And at what point does someone want to take a stab at Iran? Now, it's critical to understand that you have a warmonger State Department and a warmonger White House. You can go down the list: Tony Blinken, Jake Sullivan, Victoria Nuland, and others. They just want war. And by the way, I would add Nikki Haley to the list. So one of the things I said the other day was don't underestimate the extent to which her weakness was partly involved with Ukraine. Now, we have this debate going on in Congress, and you referred to it with, we got to get the budget. I think March 1st is the deadline, shut down the government at March 1st, which may not be a bad idea for other reasons, but that's what they're working against. Now, we've heard about immigration, the border, coming up with a bill, Langford working on that, et cetera. It was all for show. This is all about Ukraine. The idea was there's a lot of resistance in the House and the Republicans to more aid for Ukraine. Marjorie Taylor Greene's said against it, and others. And I think it's a waste also. I mean, the Russians are winning, Ukrainians are losing. Ukrainians are corrupt oligarchs. They wear neo-Nazi insignia on their uniform. I mean, how much more evidence do you need that this, they canceled their elections? How much more evidence do you need that this is an utterly corrupt regime that we're supporting? And the idea we're supporting democracy, hey, they just canceled the elections. I'm sorry, there's no democracy in Ukraine. But with that going on, they knew the aid would be unpopular. So they said, okay, we'll throw the House Republicans a bone. We'll give them some immigration reform that'll sweeten the pot a little bit, and then they'll vote in favor of the Ukraine aid. They couldn't get there because even the Senate Republicans weren't that spineless, but and they know the House will reject it. So finally, McConnell the other day says, okay, forget the border. You'll just keep that as an election issue, or whether you like it or not, and let's just vote on Ukraine. But right now, there's no U.S. money going to Ukraine. That dried up. We haven't approved anything new. Europe has not approved new money for Ukraine because Hungary has a veto, the European Union. So that's dragging on. There's nothing going to Ukraine. Zelensky's running around with his tin cup at Davos, but he didn't get any money out of it. Came to Washington, got no money, etc. Ukraine is really imploding, and all Biden is trying to do, he's trying to prop up the war to get past the election. Right? Biden doesn't care about the Ukrainians. He doesn't care how many Ukrainians get killed. By the way, the number's approaching 500,000 at this point. He'll do to them what he did to the.
Is that what your sources are telling? Is that what your sources are telling you? There could be up to 500,000. Is that Russian and Ukrainian or just Ukrainian?
Just Ukrainian. And the Russians have had casualties, but nowhere near. The kill ratios, you get various numbers, but 5 to 1 is a reasonable estimate. Some are higher, but the Russians have had casualties. Of course, it's a war, but the Ukrainians they're running out of men. I mean, they're running out of money. They're practically out of money. By the way, a lot of the money just goes to pay salaries to these oligarchs and their cronies that I described earlier. It doesn't go necessarily to the war effort. They're running out of money, but they're running out of men. They're running out of fighters, and all the money in the world won't do you any good if you can't. They're stopping cars, dragging people out of cars, sending them into military training. The wives are screaming. People are leaving the country. This is falling apart very quickly, faster than I thought. Avdiivka has fallen, Marinka has fallen, other key cities. The Russians move very slowly. Everyone's like, where's the big Russian offensive? They take their time. Just look at the Battle of Kursk, look at what they did on the Eastern Front in World War II. They took 2.5 years. Right. They were in no hurry, but they annihilated. They killed 5 million Germans. Sure, I think I qualify as an old Dubai hand. My first visit to Dubai was 1981. And when I was there was only one high-rise in the whole place. There was a couple avenues along Banias Road. They were 2-story buildings, brick, stucco, whatever, mud homes. The two biggest activities were pearl diving and offshore banking. I was International Council of City Banks. So I was there for the offshore banking part, but it really was not much more than a village. It has boomed amazingly, but I've been back many times, and every time I go back, it's a new city. Like the old city's there, and they build a new city. I was in a building, it was well over 1,000 feet high, 85 stories, and it was in the middle of nowhere. I mean, adjacent to the developed part, but it was kind of out, and it was the head of this, I was a guest of Ahmed Sultan bin Sulayem, who was the head of the Dubai Multi-Commodity Center, the largest free trade commodity center in the world. So I'm in his building, but it's 1,000 feet high. But I said to the staff, I said, hey, nice building, but you're in the middle of nowhere. He said, oh no, you don't understand. We're going to put 7 skyscrapers around it in the year ahead, and 2 of them are going to be bigger than the one you're in. This is going to be bigger than Times Square. I said, oh, I get it. You build a new city every couple of years. It really is booming. It's not phony. You look at Singapore in the east and London, New York in the west. Dubai's right in the middle. It's got a good time zone, and it's friendly to kind of everybody. Yeah, Americans are welcome there, but the Russians do an enormous amount of business there. A lot of Russian wealth is there. There's a lot of gold there. Kind of know where some of the vaults are. So it really is amazing in that regard. But I was. So I was a guest of Ahmed bin Sulayem, and he's the head of the DMC. I was a keynote speaker at his conference. But what was interesting is that it was just a few days before COP28. That's the UN global. That's probably what Ray Dalio was doing there. That was the UN Global Climate Conference that they have once a year. I think there were 70,000 people who came in. I mean, Dubai has a certain population, but they came in just for that. And people. They can't. So one of the PR assistants said, Jim, could you do a live radio interview, tomorrow morning? I said, sure, I'm here. And it was something called Dubai Eye, which is the largest, it was drive time radio. It's the largest live radio program in the Persian Gulf. It's broadcast all over the place. So a pretty big platform. And people look at my resume and they go, oh, he went to 4 top universities, 2 law degrees, degree in international economics, went to all the right schools. He must be one of us. I mean, he must be a Davos man. So we'll put him on the air. But they don't actually do any pre-production. So I'm on the air, and we do the gold thing, which is why I was there, and the currency issue and some of the issues you raised, Steve. And we get to the end of the interview, and the guy goes, the good anchor, he says, well, we've got COP28 coming up. What do you think? And I said, well, first of all, I congratulate Dubai on winning the host city. That's a big deal. And I said, I'm completely confident they'll do a great job hosting, because they always do. And by the way, this is part of the Green News scam. The guy's face, I went on about how the whole thing is a scam, that windmills and solar modules don't work. I mean, they work, but they're intermittent. Solar doesn't work at night in bad weather. Windmills don't work; they freeze. None of it's economical. It's all subsidized. Electric vehicles, they peaked in 1905. They were replaced by combustion engines. They're not much more than golf carts. On and on.